says an error occurred. Go. I don't know if we're live because it said there's an error. So it could basically be a talk show about nothing. Literally
nobody sees it.
Nobody.
I love it.
If you are here, yeah, if you're here, it's what?
I don't think it went. I don't think it took.
Because it says here end broadcast, but it also said an error occurred. So I don't know where, if anybody is around, and let us know. Oh, I see Julie is here. Hello, Julie. We are live.
Are we?
So we are, because there's a comment right there.
I'm trying to find it.
Starting off exactly as I imagined.
You can tell I'm in the house.
Welcome, everybody, to the greatest nothing you've ever seen.
And we're doing it poorly. We can't,
we
can't do nothing right. Nothing. We literally now have said we live that phrase. I can't do nothing right. Or less.
Or not.
Oh my God, we're gonna have so much
Hello,
fun.
Julie. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Shari Alyse, or am I? I guess we'll find out a little bit later today. We're going to talk a little bit about the background of this show, I believe. But I'm going to let the lovely lady, because her name changes all the time, because she changes all the time, introduce herself.
Yes, my name is Denise Powerniak, and I'm Shari's twin sister.
Can you tell?
Either that or I'm her imagination mind creation. So
I'm still trying to figure that one out.
Yeah, but I one of the roles I play is I'm the CEO secret weapon. I help you get out of the BS of your mind so that you can level up into a new playing field, because all the things that you think are bullshit, even the best ones. So we create better bullshit together. How about that? Can I say that? Can I say bullshit on it?
Yeah, I mean, as long as, you know, these platforms don't.
Look, wait. Halo. There's the halo again. The halo.
Halo. Hey, Robert. Great to see you. So interestingly enough.
Hey, can they see us? Because I can't see us on my little thingy here.
I don't know where you're looking, which group.
I was on your main page. I'm going to your Joy Spot.
Oh, it's not streaming live into Joy Spot.
Okay.
It's streaming onto my business, my personal, and YouTube. But I wanted to say, I just wanted to bounce off of what Denise, good morning, Lori. I wanted to bounce off of what Denise just mentioned about, you know, the bullshit. And interestingly enough, and I'm just going to say this, I had, like, right before we went on, like, I had such a stomach ache. And I told Denise, I was like, I literally feel like I'm letting go of the bullshit, which is a little nasty and probably TMI for you. But I'm sharing this with you today because those of you who have been following me for a while, you know what I'm about and who I am. And part of that is always about preparation. And up until this point, it's really been about perfectionism and really been about, like, having everything planned. And then I meet this woman quite some time ago. By the way, can you guys see her?
Am I really here?
Is she here?
This is really happening right now.
Yes. Good morning, Billy. Good morning, Samantha. So great to see everybody here today. So recently I was supposed to, I'm just going to tell a really quick story, Denise, so they kind of have some background to us.
Relax.
Yes. So recently I was supposed to go for an event in New York, and I hurt my back, which I'm sure we're going to talk about how I don't really have a back. So stay tuned. Right. Hey, Mom, I want to give a shout out right now. It is my mom's birthday today.
Happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday, Mom. And interestingly,
she's my mom too, since I'm your twin sister and everything.
Mom, meet your long lost other daughter, Denise. Hi. Awesome. So I was going to go to this event. Long story short, it didn't work out. I injured myself. And during that time, I had said to myself, leading up to it, I was like, I really need to slow down. I really need to slow down. And then I kept making excuses as to why I wasn't slowing down, or I'll slow down afterwards. Well, during this downtime, somehow this beautiful, she calls herself the CEO of The secret
CEO
weapon of CEOs. I call herself the secret weapon of the universe. I've upgraded her already. And she showed up in my life to really challenge everything that I am, or that I think that I am. Go ahead.
So everybody watching this, whenever I show up, it's like really like an oh shit moment. Like it's you got to get real. You got to get real, because you can't sit in your story, especially if you want a new improved story. You can't argue for your limitations because you have none.
Can you repeat that for everybody? For the
You
people in the
cannot
back
argue
now?
for your limitations. You have none. You have none.
So hearing,
I'm already adopted.
Yeah,
It didn't take long. I
Mom,
expect,
you got
I
someone
expect
else
all
to
the invites
support.
to all the family events. Go ahead.
That's okay. So people see me from the outside and they often think like I'm manifesting all of these things, and people don't realize that I have been talking about this same dream that I have had since I was probably 2 or 3 years old, and I'm about to be 48 next month. And I bring that up because when Denise says about arguing for your limitations, I think that's all I've done is actually defend them up to this point, and tell my story over and over again. And Denise has shown up to challenge me to leave that story. Go ahead.
Yeah. So once the fun thing is in creating stories, you got to learn who your gatekeepers are and how your mind projects these gatekeepers, because sometimes you're the gatekeeper of your own mind. And when you realize that there's many different levels, like Shrek, your mind's like an onion. There's layers and layers and layers. It's just you've identified so long with these lower entity minds. Identity is IDing with an entity part of the mind. So if you are one who is seeking, seekers never find, right? So you have to understand what's on the other side of what it is.
Sorry, you're gonna have to slow down on some of this. Say that again for the people in the back of the room.
Seekers never find, they seek. Finders find, but seekers seek. So you have to understand. And that's where, if I can give a little bit of my background, right? I am a trained interrogator. So I was trained very early on to cut through the bullshit, just the facts. And when you have to go into a court of law and you're doing a criminal case and you have to have the standard of beyond a reasonable doubt, you don't realize how tough that is, especially when I was new. Like, you think you have a slam dunk case and then it gets ripped apart because there's so many assumptions that are there, and you have to be able to prove the facts. So when, if you think about, can you prove to me what you had for breakfast, what you ate? You can't, but you're the one who experienced it. So it's a real thing for you. But if you were to go prove it right now, you couldn't. So if you can't prove what you've had for breakfast and you know that you ate it, or did you really? Did you? But that's a whole other.
I was gonna say that's another episode.
What you had for breakfast, and you're carrying around this bullshit for whether it was last week, last year, 10 years ago, 25 years ago. You're the only one. You are the only one keeping it here. And people show up to fill the roles that you gave them. So you have to have this whole new story. And that's why a story about nothing is so much easier to create than a story about something, because you're still in the something of the old story. So nothing is the neutral zone. It's neutralizing.
Which most would think that would be easier to show up and do a talk show about nothing, which is interesting because it really feeds into the perfectionist of me, because it'd be like, well, there's no pressure now.
No. But if you pick that ego up, if you pick that mind identity that goes, I can really rip apart this nothing because this nothing isn't good enough. Well, what's the enough? What are we comparing it to? So if you're going to say, well, I'm not enough, or there's some kind of lack, that then implies that, because if you call that mind out, if there's not enough, then you know what the whole is. And then people say to me, well, I don't even know what that is. Well, then how can you be not enough of something you don't know what is? And that's how we get.
Samantha just has an answer to that. Whoa.
Well, exactly. And that's all enlightenment is putting the light on how you're thinking, because you are not one mind. You have layers and so many infinite possibilities and probabilities, that the mind that you're thinking, it's a gatekeeper, and it's meant to keep you at a level with those possibilities, because really your conscious mind is meant to keep you safe. And that's why you hear things about meditation and yoga, going for a run, going for a workout, because it gets you out of your thinking mind. You don't need to think to exist. Let's prove it right now. Right?
Okay, let's
Okay.
go.
So I'll do 30 seconds. Let me get my handy dandy timer out here. You can.
By the way, everybody, Denise and I have done some, not this particular things, like privately. She's like a woman of experiments, or I don't even know what it is, but it's very interesting. So you guys just stay with us here. And yes,
Okay.
Julie, this will be saved.
Yeah. So for 30 seconds, I want you to look straight, and this is what I call resting as awareness. And I can give you links. I have like little tutorial videos that people can just check these out. But what you're going to do is you're going to pick something straight ahead of you and take it and look at nothing else but that for soft focus. Very soft, not like, and that's the only, and you're not allowed to think about anything. Just focus on your breathing and that little spot. And let's do it actually for a minute, right? Okay, so I'm going to count you down. In 5, 4, 3, 2, and begin.
We're not frozen for who's ever first joining us.
All right. So look at you existing for a whole minute. If that isn't proof that you don't need to think, you existed. That's what the isness is. That's what the I amness is. That when you realize that you are reality and you are reality looking at itself out there, you project your reality out there. And when you do this, that was just a minute. You can do it for 3 deep breaths. Sometimes all you have is 3 deep breaths. You neutralize the character that you are. So if you're angry character, you can neutralize yourself in 3 deep breaths, but a minute's nice. Because when something presents itself and you react, you're reacting as the character that you were. And if that character is reacting, it's part of the reality. It doesn't realize that it can step outside of the reality. I like Samantha's breakfast, by the way.
So because this is a lot for people to take in who have never heard of
but the thing is, no, it's not.
No, it's my
You're
story.
remembering who you are. You're not taking anything in. You're going, that's who I am. I knew this other way of being was so, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So, but I'm going to play the role of a curious human today that just wants to dig in more and know more.
About nothing.
About nothing.
Yeah.
About just being.
Right?
About just being.
Nothing is no thing. You are the energy behind it all. So you are no thing.
So how do you explain to perhaps our viewers when people, when I don't want to say bad or negative, but when things happen that don't feel that great, are you saying that that's the choices that we make to not feel good about something, even though there's obvious things like, I don't want to say obvious because for some death may not be, or grief, or, a divorce, or whatever that thing is.
Okay. So when you start to look at this, say like a video game, I use a lot of analogies. So if you don't connect with it on the video game, hang in there. There'll be plenty of other analogies that come. Or if not a video game, let's just say that it's like Netflix, right? It's Universe Flicks. And you're in an episode. And at that time, if you're in the anger episode, there's versions of you in the joy episode, the neutral episode, the curious episode. Like there's so many different versions of you. You are not one body moving through time and space. You are time and space. You are consciousness, that a little small part of you has this body that we call me. but you're everything else that you're interacting with. And if you paid attention, it's not always exactly in the same spot that you always put it. And that's how your mind starts to help you wake up. And it gives you these little, okay, this is a new reality. And because if you think about, and I've used this example with you, if you go into what do you call those? Like a Macy's type of thing, right? Department store. That's the word I was looking for. And you have 10 floors. And if you envision that when you go to get on the elevator, you leave that body behind, the essence of you comes in. And let's say you're on the ground floor. Let's say today you feel sad. So then you level up in your energy and you get off the elevator and you go into because there's a body when the door opens, it looks just like the body, it looks just like the room that you just came out of and sad. And now you're going up and let's say you feel okay. It's the okay floor. Okay is a really good neutralizer. It's a really, really good neutralizer. So when you understand that what you're experiencing, let's say you just stubbed your toe, right? Really a call for you to become more aware and here in the moment. And most people are not present in the moment because if you are truly present right here, right now, which means that you don't need to think to exist. Here's another mind-blowing thing. When you were a newborn, you didn't need to think to exist. You didn't come out thinking thoughts, knowing language, and yet you were this grand communicator, right? So I call that resetting you back to factory settings because you trusted and you allowed. And when you needed to communicate, you knew how to you're always where you are. So if you stub your toe, the way for things not to happen again is to okay it. Okay. Not, oh my gosh, I'm not paying attention and blah, 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 because you're anchoring in a story.
Is there anybody here that's a queen or a king of a story? Just let us know in the comments. Because
what's your story and why would you limit yourself to, because you could have any story. I'm telling you, you could take your story right now. And most people think their past creates the present, creates the future, but your future creates the past. It's the opposite.
Take a pause on that for a moment, because even I have to think about that. And I've heard all this, a lot of it.
Because
you create your past. Explain that for people that might be like, huh?
Okay, so Samantha had those chocolate strawberries for breakfast in this reality, but in a different reality, she had a bagel, and in a different reality, she didn't have breakfast, and in a different reality, she had some scrambled eggs. So she has access to all of those memories. So when you pick a different future, and you set the intention for that future on this day, it wasn't the Samantha that had the strawberries. So she would have a different memory of this morning. So if you've ever heard of reality creation, quantum jumping, it's called a whole bunch of different things. If you think about every time when you go to bed at night, you wake up in the morning, you don't have a story yet. It's like getting off that elevator. And by the time you see things and interact with them, they're in your past. So that's why when you come up to it, you go, okay, this is one quantum possibility. It's like you're saying, I'll allow it because you have no other choice. It's right there in front of you. But that quickly, it's in the past. And if you look at the past, like if you're driving a car analogy, if you're looking at the past, it would be you having to look over your shoulder to go backwards.
Right.
But there's no story because there are no consecutive events other than your memory of them. And if your memory of them isn't the story that you would want for yourself or for someone else, why would you keep telling it? Because in deleting that, in neutralizing, going, okay, that was one version, all of a sudden, this whole new past shows up with these new memories, new people, pictures start to show up on your phone, things change in your business, the book that you didn't even know you wrote shows up on your table. Like, that's the possibility of this.
So I want to tell people how powerful, not tell, but I'm sure you can hear how powerful this is for those of you that might be out there and thinking that you're tired of your story, or that your story's boring, or your story's old, or you're stuck in this repetitive cycle, because that was really what Denise pointed out to me, is because I've been sharing the same story since I was 7 years old, right? Like everybody knows this old story of Shari. And this idea that things could be different and that I didn't need to hold on to that story anymore to exist, and that there actually is a completely different story out there waiting for me to just walk on that path. That's how I heard it. And that all I had to do was just start walking the path, like mind blowing.
And the thing I think that how a gatekeeper shows up when we say something that powerful is, well, who will I be if I don't have that story?
Right. I was only able to identify with one person and one story, knowing that there was something more out there. I always knew that there was something more, but it felt like I was on this hamster wheel, not knowing how to get off of it to get to that story. But I always knew that it was there. There was a different reality for me. But I also didn't know what it would feel like to not be holding on to that story anymore.
And you can do some simple little things, such as maybe choose a food that the old version of you would never eat or didn't like. Or do something that the old you never has done. So you started a company, but the thing, so that I would say to you, Julie, with that, what was the story? Because that's the outcome that you were attached to when you always get the goal that you're aligned with. So if you have any doubt or fear, you're not aligned with your successful goal, right? If you go into someone who is running a race and they want to cross the finish line and they see themselves, it's a done deal before they even take that first step. You don't have to worry about how many steps is it going to take or how am I going to do it or what should I do at this mile and what should I do at this mile, right? You're just in. And then when you feel that feel, what does it feel in your body? Do you get an itchy nose? Do you get a tingle in your belly button? Because every time you get that same itchy nose or tingle in the belly button, that's where you're supposed to go. But you have to be so present in the moment because your apparatus, your car, your vehicle, your body is always speaking to you. It's your center dot, right? It's where you boom out. So if you have, and if I were to talk with you, there one little doubt, because when you set the goal, and we're not even going to call it goal because goal means you have to work towards it. When you set an intention, you don't have to do anything. It's a done deal. And that's how you get bigger goals quicker, because you get out of the mind that says it has to be this way. It has to be this way. You could stand on your head in the corner and yodel every day and do better than whatever prescribed way that you thought you had to do it. But here's the thing that's the most important. How did you feel on the journey? Were you as excited in the everyday things as you would be getting the whatever quarter sales, yearly sales, whatever it was? Because the energy that drives you every day has to match the energy of the outcome. So if the outcome is joyous, but you're frustrated or you're aggravated or you're afraid, you can only get the outcome that that energy gives. And it's not yours. So if you go into the done deal and you reverse engineer it and it's a happy and it's joyous and it's like, whoa, mind blowing and awestruck, at what point reverse engineering do you come back and go down into the yuck? Why would you do that? Because that version of you was never down here. Yeah. And the answer always is, but of course. Mm-hmm. So when you get your goal, when you get your result, let's say your result, and it's like, oh, but of course, it's like, okay, but of course, it shouldn't be this thing that makes you jump for joy. Don't get in that trap. Because when you're living the life of the version of you that's making millions of dollars, you're not thinking about making millions of dollars. It's just that thing that you do. So let me give you an example of this, because I know, Shari, I stopped you from doing this. You were doing this every day. Do you wake up in the morning, those ladies that are watching, and go, oh, thank God I'm still female. And then you get up and you go in the bathroom and you look in the mirror because you have to remind yourself to female things today. I'm going to female it like I've never femaled it before. Oh, of course, she puts up my name now, right? Female, like I've never femaled it before. Nobody has femaled it like me ever.
Ever.
You don't do that because it's who you are. But of course, this is right. And this is the thing, regardless male or female. If you can't go into the mirror now and look in that mirror and love on her or him or them like you've never before, because out of all the possibilities for this lifetime, you chose this one. There was something amazing about this one. And when you stop criticizing what you see in the mirror, because you can't change the mirror, what's reflected in the mirror is your self-talk, your idea of who you are. And if you can't see this version of you and loving her or him or them to get to the finish line, there's some other version of you, then why are you still in this one? That's really powerful, don't you think?
Yeah, I'd like you to repeat it.
Yeah. See, I saw somebody post something, how to get to self-love.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, exactly. So she's going to female it like she'd never femaled it before, ever.
Ever.
I
am female. Hear me, female.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, I'm just trying to get my jokes in here.
I lost. This is what, remind me where we were.
I don't know. I'm only here in this moment.
Yeah. So in this moment, loving on yourself, right? So it was how to love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And there was like these 15 steps of identifying that you don't love yourself, find out all the reasons why you suck, do all this stuff, then forgive yourself for sucking so bad.
Are you talking about one of my posts?
I don't know if it was yours or someone else that I
talk about self-love.
Right. And then at the last one was, and then love yourself. And what you don't realize is you don't have to go through all of that. You can just go from here I am. This is my jump off point. I am where I am. I can't be anywhere else. And oh, look at that. I love me. Right here, right now, I love me. Can you say that with real passion? Like, I'm so excited to be me.
What do you say to those people? Because I know some people here that I've got some doubters in the audience that are but how do you say that if you don't believe it? Because I know
you're not here to have a main role in life, so you might as well just hang it up now. Just go be a supporting character in someone else's story. Be happy for that. Let the little breadcrumbs come at you. Because that's the game changer, folks. That's the game changer. No matter what reflection is back, no matter how big or small or tired or awake or whatever it is, you don't see the world as it is. You see it how you see yourself, because every relationship you have is a relationship you have with yourself. Yes. Because everything is you pushed out. Yeah, so when people, go ahead.
No, I was just going to confirm that just with a real live living example of, when the different phases of my life and when I decided to when I started recognizing who I was and my power and the people started showing up in my life that reflected that as well. There weren't, I always joke about John and I, for people, my other half, it's like we live in the same, well, I don't know if we live in the same world, you might say something different, right? But we'll walk down the same street and we'll see two completely different things and have two completely different experiences.
You share a template, you share a physical template, but it's not the same world. It's not the same world.
So everybody's just living in their own little, I'll use Abraham Hicks vortex.
Yeah, or a little bubble. Mm-hmm. I think a pig pen from Charlie Brown. You got your little cloud of dust and you take it everywhere you go.
Yeah.
But that's the key. That this is the vehicle that you have. This is who you are. But none of the things that you thought up to this point matter anymore. Blank slate, tabula rasa. And if someone comes to me and says, what's up with this, or why did this happen, or why do you look that way? That's how they're perceiving me. And especially if it's not how I perceive myself, my question back is, why do you need to see me that way? Because I know who I am. That is so important. You have to know who you are. Really know who you are, and trusting that if you let go of all those, okay, well, I need to make some money, so let me just do this thing so I have some money coming in, but you're going to be miserable. If that's not the energy of your intention, don't take that. It's like the temptation. Don't take it. Nothing
That
new
is
is there.
scary. People live in the biggest amount of fear when it comes to financial, and to just stop. I'm just being real, maybe not in your world, but in other
No, don't be
people's.
real in their world, because then you're anchoring it in. See, anything. I learned this. I got to be a dolphin trainer for the day in Florida years back. And they were the cutest. I think I shared the story with you. They were the, oh my gosh. And we were in these, there's 5 pools around us, and we were getting the instructions from the real trainers that work there. And the dolphins were splashing us from the pools they were in, because they wanted us to play, and they wanted us. And of course they're like puppies in water. Like, oh my, look how cute they are. And the trainers are like, no, 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 no. Do not acknowledge what you don't want repeated. And that was so powerful.
Say that again.
Do not acknowledge what you don't want repeated.
I want everyone that's watching right now to just write that, because I think that will go within you if you just type that out. I think that's so important. If you walk away with anything today, there's a lot, but take that away. Okay.
So if there's something going on around me, a simple okay, it's like, all right, I see you, but not enough to give you much more attention than that. So that's the allowing. When you hear about allow things to be, you allow things to be, and you can take those 3 deep breaths, or you can rest for a moment as awareness. Because what should have happened in that minute of awareness is things got softer around you when you had that point of focus. It's like you put these blinders on. And when you don't know who you are and you don't know what you want is a done deal, because your worthiness comes in the asking. If you were not worthy to receive what you were asking for, you could not ask for it. So if you want $1 billion, do you feel worthy of $1 billion? And if you've never had it, how would you know what that feels like? So you have to say yes. Because we're only making shit up. When you say you're not worthy of something, you're making that shit up too. So you might as well make up the good shit.
Right. That's the story that we've created and hold on to. So why not create a better story and hold on to that one?
Yeah.
That's what I hear you saying.
And that one has to be given. It's sort of like, if you think about your old reality as this balloon that you blew up. You gave it a lot of hot air. You gave it a lot of attention. And now you got this brand new balloon over here, and you got to just keep blowing into it and giving it more attention to this over here, because this will disappear. This will disappear. And what the power of the now moment is when something shows up, and there to this day, there's still things that I have reactions to, but they're not the big drawn out big reactions. But still, you know, if something like runs by me, it'll like catch me off if I'm not aware of it in that moment. Right away, I get aware. My mind wants me to be aware there's something here. There's something that I need to have fun with. And when something comes up, if I address it in that moment and go, you're not the boss of me. I'm reality. I made this little tiny thing that came in to annoy me, or whatever, what it thought it was going to do. I created you. Damn, I'm a good creator.
Yes. Why do you think that so many people forget, have lost, have unremembered? Is that a word? I just made that up. Not remembered who we are. What does that serve?
When you do, the power that you're given to change reality, as sort of like my will be done, is so powerful that it's sort of like you got to untrain that out of you. It's like you've heard that quote, with great power comes all this responsibility. It's not so much responsibility, but just think about if I were to abracadabra, wave my magic wand, which I could do, and say, all right, you get the power of instant manifestation. How fast would your room fill up with crap you don't need or want? And how many oopses would you have to go back and revise?
Yeah.
You could never tell somebody, go drop dead, because, instant manifestation.
Right.
So that's the kind of thing we want to ease you into this.
So basically what you're saying is if we knew how powerful we were, we would get literally everything that we thought, and we just can't handle that, because literally people would be dropping dead left and right.
Where would you put it all?
Right. Right. And do you think that we would know, do you think we would know how good things were if we had everything that we want?
Okay, thank you for bringing up that bullshit thing. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, that drives me nuts. That drives me nuts in
I just saw it the other day and I thought of you. I was
spirituality.
I thought of you. I was like, where is she to explain this to someone who just said, you got to know this to know that? Go ahead.
Okay. right? So I always go back to the hot stove example.
Mhm.
You touch a hot stove one time, and you don't have to fight your going, I'm going to touch it. I need to touch it. Let me touch that hot stove. No, don't. Yeah, not right. You know not to touch a hot stove. And if you bump into one, you went a little unconscious, and now you were brought back to consciousness. So when contrast, you only need it once. When you're sad, if you're going back there more than once, then there's some kind of enjoyment that level of your ego and character loves being sad. So if you think about the was it Upside Down, the movie, was it Upside Down, with joy and anger and sadness? It's really like that there's some dopamine hit in the sadness where some people over here get it in the joy. So if you're going to not go there again, then when the next time it shows up in the now moment, love it to death. So if you're going to be sad, be the saddest you have ever been in your whole life, and love in that moment. Oh my God, the depths of sadness that I can experience. This is so powerful. Or anger the hell out of that shit. Right? If you're going to be angry, get that sledgehammer and just go to the walls and knock everything, right? Because
I'm the angriest anger I've ever been.
And enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the only way to get out of a loop of something is to love it. And if you've ever had a difficult person that they thrive on maybe other people being a little fearful of them, all you got to do is call them out and it goes away. So it's like sometimes it shows up as a person, but sometimes it shows up as a thought in your mind, because you've never thought a thought your whole life. You are the consciousness that is aware that a thought is coming in, and you have to identify with it, ID the entity. A thought is an entity, and then it becomes your identity if you ID with it. That's the powerful thing.
I love that. I want to just go on that because that was really helpful, because, I've done meditation for a long time, and I understand that thoughts are all right here, and we're not, we are not our thoughts. But I loved this idea of entity. Mm-hmm. And I think that's so powerful for people to really think about, because it's almost as if it feels like it's like this little gremlin, good or bad, that just wants to get your attention. And it's almost like picking and choosing which one we're going to either hold on to or let go, or let them all go. But when we see it like that, we know that they're outside of us and they're not who we are. That was really helpful for me.
Well, because if you don't, you haven't gone into your done deal. You don't know what your end game is. You don't know what your done deal looks like, because once you define your world of what your world and what you would be doing and how people would be interacting, and what your world, how we'd be treating each other, right? So there are worlds right now that exist that you don't have access to, because you might have a lower level mind. So when someone comes in, and this is where you have to start eliminating TV shows and music, because they change as you go up in consciousness until eventually they disappear because they're not needed. So if you're watching, murder thrillers, then you're inviting murder to be part of your reality, and it will show up outside in the way that it does, whether it's on the news or in your neighborhood, or, it could get very close and personal, family, friends, whatever. You can't invite it in a music, a song, or in a TV show and not expect eventually for it to start showing up in your physical world. That's how the subconscious is influenced. So you got to be able to block all that stuff out and ask yourself, if I could jump into this episode right now, what I want my world to be this, because that's what you're giving it. Just like the dolphins, you're giving it its attention. You're acknowledging the realness of it. And then when you start to feel emotion in it and you start to identify, how many times in a movie have you cried because there's a part of you that identifies? So that's when you say, oh my gosh, this is no longer who I am. And you don't watch those shows anymore. And the mind goes, what do you think the mind does when you start eliminating TV shows and movies? And what do you think the mind's going to say? Well, what am I going to do? I'm going to be so bored.
That was the first thing that came up, right? As I was playing the role of humor.
You don't have to suffer to know joy. And if really it's coming out of root chakra. Root chakra is all about the physical doing. When you get into the sacral chakra type of living, it's creation for creation purpose, because you no longer have to create to exist. So root chakra is more about existence. I got to make money. I got to do this. I got to. And and it's repetition, 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 repetition. But you get to the point of diminishing returns. When you get up to a sacral chakra type of living, you're creating for the joy of creating. Not because you need to make money, because you don't need to make money, because you're in the joy. Talk about the JOY, right?
Mm-hmm.
So every morning, I'm going to give you some of my fun things that I wake up, I open my eyes, and it's heaven on earth. I woke up and I look around my room or wherever I am, heaven on earth. I go in, we had a wonderful 5:30 workout today with Curvin, heaven on earth. Because guess what? I get to walk into this gym. It is a trainer gym, bodybuilder gym paradise. I get all the access to everything in there, and I don't have to own it and manage it and upkeep it and staff it. So it's like heaven on earth. And you know me, HOE, ho, ho. So I'm always a ho in it. I'm rewriting the script. That's how you rewrite the script. Heaven on earth. Everywhere I go, this is a heavenly body. And I'm the God of the creation of my heaven on earth. And I invite everybody to come in and feel this, because if not, you can go back to your hell. I am not coming there. But guess what? This is a lot more fun. And it's a lot more fun.
Well, I loved, it sounds a lot like, for people that are listening might see, like it's a lot of like mindset work. Would you say?
You're getting no.
That's what I thought you'd say.
It's mindless. Instead of mindfulness, it's mindlessness. If you go empty and you slowly shut down your mind, you don't need that chatter to exist. You don't need that chatter to walk, because if you did, you would be going left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. You don't do that when you walk. Maybe some people do, but no.
In the military. Left, right.
But there's a reason why in that. And if you think about it, that's a really good, you've seen the movies and the shows that are like left, left. They're programming. They're programming the whole group to be in sync with each other, because they need to be in sync with each other. Oh, I like to play with words all the time. I saw the ho, heaven on earth, right? Nothing, no thing. So you are not.
I thought this is going to be a talk show about nothing.
Yeah, and it is, because nothing is everything. That's the really cool thing about it. You can't have one side of the coin. And so if we go from nothing, then everything must be on the other side. Or we can call it the pole. Here's nothing. Here's everything. Here's the absolute. Here's the total lack of. Right? So you can't say you're not enough unless you know what the enough is. And you can be very specific with the enough.
That's powerful. And I want people to hear that, because I know there's a lot of people that talk about this not enoughness. And you always share this with me, that you got to prove what that is, right?
You are the enough because you're creating the world where you're not enough. Like you created the not enoughness that you wanted to experience. That's what the God within you does. It always says yes to you. So if you're declaring out loud, I'm not enough, that higher self within you goes, your wish is my command. Here's all these experiences that is this, oh, you need a little stronger? Okay, how about this? Here's more not enoughness. And here's more not enoughness. So your words cast spell. That's why we spell our words. Your words cast spells out there, and it's a pre-sending, a present, right? So you're pre-sending ahead of time what it is that you expect. So why wouldn't you pre-send the hell out of it, literally, and put the heaven into it?
I know everybody, Denise, like I know for me.
You know everybody? That is so awesome. Well, you created them all. She's so connected, guys.
You guys.
Yes.
Okay, so.
What you do, you don't realize it, but you do. Go ahead. Truth
is that when I'm fully present in this moment, which is the only moment that we have, right? The now moment. What you have shown me is that I don't have to think to exist. I don't have to be in that moment thinking, okay, I'm breathing right now. Okay, I'm living right now. Okay, I'm standing right now. I'm surviving right now. Like I'm actually okay, more than okay in that moment. And I just want to point that out to people, because the more and more that we live in those moments, moment to moment, we're okay every single one of them. And it's when we fill those moments with the mind chatter, as you talk about, that is where I know where I could feel most disconnected from the the stream, right? The stream of well-being, the wholeness, all of it, the allness of everything. And I'm just trying to say that for people that I know might be listening and not understanding so much. So, but know that they should be in the present moment, you know?
Well, you can never not be in the present moment.
Yes. Okay. But present that you're in the present moment. I present to you
the present moment. Dun, dun, dun. That's why I say we should have background music like in TV shows. Dun, dun, dun. When someone walks in the door, we're like, oh, this is going to get good. But think about it this way. When you were conceived, two little cells came together. And those cells knew exactly what to do to start dividing. And at some points, they started specializing. Roughly around 6 weeks or so, your heart starts to beat. So you are a heart-centered individual that your brain isn't developed until at least 6 months in while you're inside your mother's belly. So you're heart-centered. You can be brain dead in this world, but you cannot be heart dead, right? Yeah. But that same energy, that same love, call it what you want, call it chicken soup, don't care, that did the first cell division is still, and it beat your heartbeat for the first time, right? It's still beating your heart to this day. You're not going beat again, beat again. Oh my gosh, beat again, beat again. Could you imagine if you were in charge of beating your own heart?
That'd be a lot of work. That'd be stressful.
But when you're stressing out about stuff, it's like you're trying to beat your own heart, right? And you don't need to do that. It got you covered, because if your subconscious higher self didn't want you here, all it has to do is stop beating your heart. Nothing the conscious mind can plea bargain, narrate into existence. So you might as well enjoy this journey and stop trying to beat your own heart. Whatever it is you're doing, whether you're trying to run a business or find the love of your life or be happy, guess what? Let's do this right now. Be happy. For no freaking reason. You don't need a reason. Your breath, your breathing, you're here, your eyes are open. You can hear. We're all making noise with our mouths. And somehow we understand each other. But guess what? You understand yourself even more when you stop talking and you're just there sharing the space with someone.
Doesn't that sound so much more enjoyable?
It does. And I promise you, it's not boring. Don't listen to the mind that says, we're going to be so bored. Because then you can explore. You're not tied down to your conditioning. You know, 2 years ago, I was signing up for this video class, and they sent over a little survey. It was to teach you how to do videos. And I had been doing videos for a while, but I love to learn something new and exciting. And this one question, it like set me on this tangent. I'm like, I had to slam my computer shut and go for a walk. If you had whatever all the money in the world is, would you be doing what you're doing? And I took a second and I was real honest with myself. Hell no, I wouldn't be doing this. No, I'd be out exploring and finding people who want to explore and travel the world. Maybe eventually I'd come back around to something. But let me leave you with this. You're not broken. Broken people don't get fixed. Broken people are broken. Broken people need saviors. Stop being a savior or stop looking to be saved. I'm going to let you in on it. You're it. Tag your it. You're tagged. Tag your it. Tag. Because if you're broken, you'll be right twice a day, just like a clock. That's it. And
yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No. I was.
What if?
No. Because you said even if people feel they're broken, you're right twice a day. And I was about to say, and what if, like on the clock, what if you just held on to that rightness, like that clock?
Well, you don't even let it all go.
But I mean, that moment that's not broken, like because they're not ultimately broken. Because like you're saying, they're right twice a day.
Because when a thought comes in and I feel the pull to want to identify with it, can I prove it right here, right now? Just like your breakfast. Can you prove what you had for breakfast? So if this thought's coming in, this will never work. Well, prove it right here, right now. You can't. You can never prove it right here, right now. You can't. So it's all bullshit. I'm going to be a gazillionaire. Can I prove it right now? No, but guess what? It's exciting to go into that energy.
Yes.
Because I can't prove either one of them. right? It would be like going into an ice cream store and forcing yourself to pick an ice cream flavor that you absolutely hate. You wouldn't do that.
And so
Or,
and when we do it over and over and over again.
or yeah, this is how the analogy of people who made a wrong decision. So let's say you go into the 31 flavors and you're always been a vanilla person and you decide to be wild and crazy and choose chocolate today. And for some reason you chose chocolate and you absolutely hate it. Do you go, oh my God, I can't believe I made that choice. What the hell was I thinking? I should have stayed safe with the vanilla. No, you don't do that. But if you start over dramatizing these things that you think are so important, the moment you're not here, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If you were to disappear today, none of the things don't worry about, you can't pay your bills anymore. Don't need to pay your bills. Why would you worry about them? You're stuck. You got to take a step back. And this is a really good analogy. Let me ask you this question. If you were to go in a swimming pool, what are the 2 times that you know that you're wet?
When you're in the pool and when you get out of the pool.
You're in the pool. Well, when you're going into the pool, right? Either you
Right.
jump in or you go in the shallow end, you realize you're getting wet. And then when you get out, you realize you're wet and you have to dry off. But when you're in the pool, you don't think of yourself as wet because you're in it. So right now, whatever story you're in it. And you can't see that you're in the pool wet. So you got to come out and observe, be the observer of your own story. Put somebody else in your place. And think about how you would view that story going on. That's a higher level of consciousness. Or if you did something yesterday and today you're criticizing it, you're at a higher level of consciousness because you didn't have that level at the time, because if you did, you would have had it. So there's never consecutive events because time doesn't exist. June 20, what is it today? Whatever. It's a concept. It's a concept. Right now, we're being broadcast in multiple realities because it's 12:53 here. It's 9:53 where you are. Some people it's 10:53. How can I exist in all these different times? Because time's not real, because if it was real, you couldn't manipulate it like that. But yet we're all here together in the now. You've been fed so much bullshit that you believe it. And until you come outside of it, you can't see it. And you've probably had those situations, whether it be a relationship or a job that you had, or even going from high school to college. It's a whole different world. And you look at it differently when you're not in the soup of it. So this show about nothing, it's quite something, isn't it?
It's quite everything.
And it's really powerful. And guess what? No preparation needed, because all we decided was to be here now with each other.
Yes.
And that's always the answer. That's the universe is always giving you yes. And it leaves you speechless.
Which rarely happens except with you.
Yeah.
Which is why we're sharing this, because for someone, the older version of Shari wanted to overanalyze and think about everything. And a lot of curiosity.
How'd that work for you?
Stress, anxiety. Yeah, right.
And here's the thing. If you talk about anxiety is on one side of the coin, the same energy on the opposite side of the coin is enthusiasm. It feels the same way.
So interesting. I'll tell you a true story. So last night,
please tell me a false story.
I know, I love those too. So I kept waking up every hour last night, and I was like, and I woke up in the morning, and John asked me before he woke up. So I thought, oh my God, I have so much anxiety. And then I heard me in my head, and I go, that wasn't anxiety. You were excited. You were excited about today. And it changed because, again, a story I was identifying with anxiety as this is what I know. Right. And changed totally how I felt.
Yeah. So if you look at the two sides of the coin, you have a conspire for you universe and a conspire against you universe. But as I taught you with the flipping of the coin, remember that?
Yeah.
So every time I flip a coin, I get tails. Every single time I get tails, get tails, get tails. Why? Because whatever coin, whether it's the one you're holding or the one I'm holding, it has tails on both sides. Because I'm going to load my coin to exactly what I want. There's no way there's going to be any other option that anything else is coming to. There is no heads in the tails world.
I love that. Like, I hope you all get that. Like, in your world, in your own world, there's only one way. There's only one tails. There's only one heads, whatever you choose.
Yeah. Or let me do it with sickness and health. So back in 2005, I decided I was never going to be sick again. And I've never been sick again. Not a sniffle, not a nothing. I'm not going to get anything. I am immune. But you have to understand, most people have sick and health on their heads and tails. But when you understand that sick people can temporarily get healthy and then they get sick again, but healthy people never get sick. So you got to be on the healthy coin, because then there's active and passive. You go from opposites to active and passive. So I have active health and I have passive health. Sick isn't an option. That's powerful. You can do the same thing with wealth. If you think of rich and poor, then you're going to oscillate back and forth, because wealthy people don't think about poorness ever. So then you take your coin and you make it wealth, active and passive. That when you're actively doing something, you're bringing your wealth to you. But guess what? The majority of the time, you're not actively doing stuff for wealth. So then you have passive wealth happening for you. And how it happens, let the universe wow you, let it woo you. That's the fun thing. I never, ever wake up thinking I have to be healthy, or I have to get healthy, or I have to get healthier. Because once you're it, and you know you're it, tag you're it, doesn't matter what I eat, doesn't matter how much I sleep or don't sleep, doesn't matter what exercises I do, it ain't happening. Doesn't care if the whole freaking world shuts down. I'm not getting it.
Like, you wake up female or male and you don't think about that that's what you have to be that day. You just are it.
Yeah.
It's a whole different life. It is, Samantha.
It really is. And I understand where people, because I've been there. But whenever you hear people talk about their moment of enlightenment and they go, oh my God, and I laughed, because you see the joke that's been going on, you realize what's going on, and you don't go into full blown all these special abilities and powers at first, because you have to acclimate. And it's usually a lower mind going, why isn't this happening fast enough? Well, it's all now. You're not, that's not the mind that accesses it, for a very, very good reason. That which is yours can never miss you, and that which is yours can never be taken from you.
And it's all always been ours.
Because you created it. So if it's been taken from you, you created the taking from you, which is the perfection of it. So bring it back, revise it. Revision's a very powerful thing. Back to the Future had it right. You go back and you start playing around, or you just say that never happened to me at all. Either way, it's still revision. Yeah.
I know everybody's going to watch this back. They're all talking about watching it back to really getting this.
Watch it backwards. It's even better.
I got to say, once you allow this awareness, or the awareness that you're aware, you start to notice all of the places where you're unaware.
So all unconsciousness is programming. And when you become conscious of the programming, you can't unprogram the programmed. But if you level up, there'll be a new programming that is in alignment with what you now know. But you have to give your kind heart some patience to get there. So from today, here's what to take. Every relationship is the relationship you have with yourself. Everybody is you pushed out. And because you just didn't want 8 billion versions of the exact same you, this is why we're twins, Shari and I, but we look nothing physically alike. Or we have the Leo thing going on.
I was just going to say that.
We have the Leo thing going on. But everybody is you, and you gave them the script. So when they're showing up in front of you and you're not liking what's going on, editor's note, right? Director's note, rewrite this script. I don't want to be in this episode anymore. So just imagine, let's do this, guys. Let's do this, friends. Today, the show's got canceled. The show, whatever story of your life, you've gotten your cancellation notice. And today's the last episode, but you're under contract, so you got to live out this episode. Let this day show you where you hit those moments of, I don't like what's happening, or why is this happening, or I should be further along, or whatever your mind is saying. And then note to self, all right, I need to update this in the new script, the new episode. You're all actors. Shakespeare has it right. The world's a stage. You're an actor, but it's sort of like Truman. You didn't know you were in a show. Now you do. It's so Truman Show. So Truman Show. Yeah.
I'm going to leave everybody with this because it really helped me, and maybe we'll explain it another time, but I just want to say.
Or another now.
Or another now. Yes.
Go ahead.
I'm still getting corrected, but in a good way. I'm getting put back on path. No, that Denise, I remember she told me to every morning, like a dry cleaner, like how the clothes go around, and every day you get to pick which identity you want to identify with. And so I don't know. I thought that was, not that I don't know, I do know that it was really powerful to know that I do get to make that choice, because I was choosing the same one over and over and over again, maybe just with a different shirt, different pair of pants.
You can never improve yourself. You can never fix yourself. You can just pick a different self that's already been living the life that you now would see at this level as new and would be new and improved.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
and so
exactly.
And so just keep choosing that one.
Yeah.
Or the one that you want, or then upgrade when you're ready.
1% upgrade every day.
Yeah. So you guys, I would love for you to come back here once you've watched this again, leave more comments for Denise, connect with Denise. Is there a great way that they can connect?
If they like some of the stuff that we talked about today, that I do have a YouTube channel, The Invincible CEO on YouTube. You can go to theinvincibleceo.com. And I have The Invincible CEO on Facebook, also Denise Powerniak, the CEO Secret Weapon. There's pages on Facebook for that too. All that fun stuff.
Spell right now, so I'm going to let you go back into the comments and post that, because I just tried to spell invincible in my head 5 times and I realized I have no head.
Exactly. You are not a body with a consciousness. You are a consciousness, and part of you is the body. Part of you.
You heard it here, folks. And Johnny over on YouTube says, now you're talking. So we're going to leave you with that.
And now we'll stop talking, because he said we were talking, and I see that as a challenge. All right, guys.
Thank you all for joining us today. And we'll be back
yesterday and tomorrow and last month and 3 years ago, 3 years in the future. We're all there. All versions of us.
Great to see you.
Everywhere, all at once. Nothing, nowhere, not at all.
Thanks for watching a talk show about nothing.
About
Bye,
nothing.
everyone.
Bye.